Welcome to Transqat. I'm Clare McCarthy.
On June 9th, as part of Pride Month, I attended an event at the Building Complex in West Haven, Connecticut. The event, organized by photographer and friend of the show, Samuel Avery, was called Pride Play. It was a chance for some queer-owned small businesses to meet and network. It was also a chance for some, that is, the younger folks, to play a little indoor soccer in a safe and welcoming space. Sam invited me to bring my recording gear and chat with folks, and it was a delight. You'll hear the game in the background. In this episode, you'll hear from Sylvia Yanez, Sam Giardina, Luke Nathan, Alexis Cariddi, and Alex Giardina. So tell me about the Building Complex.
It used to be my parents' home base for their construction company. So my dad really always had a dream of opening up his own sports facility. And me and my sister kind of grew up. We went our different ways. And just like within the last 4 years, we kind of really made the decision to make this kind of possible with my dad and some of my uncles coming from Mexico to here to help him build it. So he's built everything and reconstructed the whole offices and garage area to be the indoor facility. So me and my sister definitely have been collabing both of our worlds to be the owners to really steer this facility into what my dad really wants it to be and kind of retire him. He'll never really retire.
When we were there, I should say that you and I are talking a little bit after the event, and things did still seem to be a work in progress in some ways. The sports facility part of it was up and running. You guys had a great soccer game going.
No, definitely. I think we did have a lot of big dreams, and COVID kind of really derailed a lot of those things because me, my sister, and my dad have all been personally pouring our own money into this. And yeah, the pandemic put things to a stop. So we just, wanted to get things up and running. We did want to have a full function facility. We wanted it to be paved. We wanted our outdoor field to already be set. We were going to have an automatic front gate and with our sign. So all those little mini, in our head, mini eyesore things to us on the outside weren't able to get done because we really needed to get money flowing in, and we really wanted to get people to see our facility. And it's an indoor facility, so the winters kind of was our goal, and then we ran into issues with the town. So we're just kind of now rolling with the punches, and that's us coming up with a new philosophy is right now is we really want to make connections with the community. We really want people to see our mission, and we kind of are now asking for help so all that money can go back into the facility and get it going.
Talk to me about that mission. What do you want the Building Complex to be in that community?
In the beginning, right away, my dad always wanted it to be community, something for the kids community. And with me and my sister, so that was something I really have been involved in, the queer community and the art community. So what does that look like for me, being an owner of this business? So we have kind of collabed all of our perspectives, and same point of the kids in the community, but not just being a sports facility, being that unorthodox sports facility and showing all different kinds of things. So we would love to have, and we already have had some art and just showcasing many different avenues. We really want to highlight that we are a sports facility, but also an event space for many different things. It could even be a book club or a dance team coming in, or just a networking or classes, teaching, charcuterie board classes. That's a big thing now, things like that. But our mission is definitely community, is sticking with it's a family owned business. And that's kind of, we got to where we are now, is being really close with my sister and my father and having that family support. And we kind of want to just show that with the community.
The joy of that night, so was watching a sort of pickup soccer game. There was so much joy in a lot of trans guys who were able to just get down there and play and know that they were amongst like-minded individuals, that they were safe. But as soon as that picked up, the temperature in the room changed. People
people just lit up, those of you who were playing and those of us watching.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, like you being one of the ones to watch, because usually I am the one playing. So it's really nice to hear that perspective, because that's exactly something that I wanted. I was a little nervous to do Pride Play. I actually wasn't even as sad as it was, just because we are a new business. My sister isn't queer. Obviously, my father's not queer. His Mexican culture. He has been very accepting and very loving of me, but just to understand his roots and where he came from, it is very difficult. And so it is, at a slow pace. So I wasn't going to pressure anything for Pride Month. And then Sam came up to me with this idea to do Pride Play and focus more on the trans side of it, not just being like a queer Pride Play, but really focusing on that. I was a little nervous, but I'm like, this is where it has to start, right? Like it's never going to feel fully comfortable. And so I was really proud. My dad was really happy to see all that. Yeah, to just be that space. Like I was saying, like me and my sister grew up playing all over, the state and other states and indoor soccer facilities, outdoor facilities. And like, you just don't see that culture. Like it's just soccer, sports, or whatever they're doing. There's football there's lacrosse, it's just sports. And you don't really see a lot of posters about the queer community or the arts community. And so that's really something like I wanted to bring in. Even my sister, she's involved in the military. We've already been thinking of doing some veteran events, military events. One of her friends is going to do a free CPR class in our facility. So just things like that are more, home-based, little homey style than a big corporation sports facility that necessarily won't do these little things for the community.
Some specifically queer events like a coming out party or a queer quinceañera or something.
No, exactly. Allowing there to be that space, because where would people, feel comfortable? I just don't see, other sports facilities have sometimes event spaces attached to them, but usually it's associated again to the sport. And we're really trying to, yes, we have this indoor sport soccer field, but like you can have dancing down there if you want, or bring in your own kid games, or bring up a blow up castle. Like please, like we want it to be really family orientated and not so industrial. Like this is our packet. This is so anytime anyone asks like what our packets look like for birthdays, like me and my sister have agreed to treat everybody individually and kind of listen to what their budget is, what their ideas are. We would love to kind of cater to that if we can and make it possible.
Before I let you go, let me ask you about your family and your relationship to them, both in terms of I'm intrigued by the notion of working with family, because that just seems really stressful to me, but also in terms of the support of you as a queer woman.
I would say my journey hasn't, right now I'm very blessed. It's come a long way. It wasn't always very supportive in the beginning. Soccer kind of was my whole life. It was my father's life. It was just something I just knew what to do. I was trained to be going professional. That's like what my goal was going to be. I was a painter since I was young, but it always was something I just did on my own time with my grandma, very privately. And then I ended up getting injured really badly in high school, and I lost a lot of college scholarships, and that dream of going professional looked a little different now. And so I really devoted myself into my art. So college really derailed that, and I really was super involved in the art. And then really being involved in the queer community, I came out young, but I, again, didn't really feel comfortable. I just, I looked very feminine. I just kind of rolled with that. And in college, I realized how you should really kind of expose yourself. It's really important to be in the community. And so that's kind of what I devoted myself to. I devoted myself to that and kind of actually broke away from my family. It was very sad for my father, for me to really give up my soccer dreams. And they didn't really understand my art. So I kind of went away for a little bit doing that all myself and not really being close with my family until all this idea came back around, and my sister brought it up again. and my dad. And that was the decision that I had. Like, am I, going to go back and, work with my family or continue to do the things that I always wanted to do outside of all the rules or theories that my family wants me to be? I would have to say, starting this, my dad has been super involved and loves all the art events that I've had there. He wants more. He was so happy about the Pride play. I think it just shows the importance of educating people and showing them, everyone is scared and they hear all these crazy things on the news, and they just see our community as just a drama and chaos. But I think, my dad got to see firsthand, like, wow, this is really awesome. And like, everyone was so happy, so supportive too. Like, even after the Pride play that Sunday, I did a mural event, and some of those muralists, like, my dad was just so happy talking to them, and they wished him a happy Father's Day. And we're like, oh, you're like my art dad. Like, thank you for letting me have my art at your facility. And that's just something I didn't expect. So it's been nice. I was really scared to work with family, but I'm really happy. I think my sister and my father are seeing a side of me that I guess I thought I could hide and just be like, yeah, they won't accept me, they won't care. And now they're really like, whoa, like, you do all this? Like, this is amazing. And I love the people that you're bringing around.
It becomes really difficult to keep referring to things like this in the abstract, because it's not abstract. It's this group of a dozen people playing soccer and having fun.
Yeah.
And for your dad, to be able to see things like that, I can understand where that would break down barriers.
Yes. And even it was so nice to see some of them actually in their other lives, like, they had, like, one of them had a full ride on the women's team to URI, and they decided drop that so they could transition and be themselves. And like, that's a huge decision. Just someone from me, I worked my whole life to get these full rides and these scholarships, and like, that just shows the importance of like their identity and who they wanted to be. So some of them were saying that this is their first time in their selves now that they're soccer again. And that's the point, that it could be collabed in both. And like, that trans kids can be involved in sports. And it was really beautiful at the end. Like, they all took their shirts off, and someone like me to be at the business, like, they felt so comfortable to like do that.
Tell people how they can get in touch with you and the business.
You could definitely follow us on our Instagram, the Building CT. And we do have a Square site, the Building Complex.square.site. And but also all of our links are on our Instagram. We're also on Facebook. And we'll be definitely doing a lot more queer events, a lot more art events. And like I was saying before, just kind of anything. If you have an idea, you need a space, we'd love to hear about it.
We are at the Building Complex in West Haven. I am hosting an event with them. We wanted to host a Pride event for the month of Pride, and since they're an indoor sports facility, we thought it would be a great opportunity to host something to include like everyone, honestly, of all genders, sexualities, and be able to give them a chance to play soccer in a sports game where they could feel completely comfortable to be themselves, especially with all of the laws against trans rights and trans people in sports especially. Just talk, really. It's also a social thing, so people can meet each other that are in the same community and feel like actually included at an event, especially a sports event, which is very, very rare for the queer community. I feel like sports is hard for us to feel included in, especially with them trying to take us out of it.
Are you going to get out on the soccer pitch here?
I will, yeah. I actually used to play soccer for the longest time, but I never have played as myself. I was on the girls' team in high school, and I almost went in college, but I was figuring myself out. So I never really got to play as who I am now. And I know it's a different feeling, and I wish I could play on like a team. But I've always wanted to get back into soccer because it was such a big part of my life all throughout high school. I started when I was 6 years old, and I loved playing soccer. But obviously, as I said before, I was on the girls' team, so it was very, very different. And I've been looking into maybe possibly finding a co-ed team or even just if we could have like an all trans. There's one in, I think it's the UK. There's an all trans men soccer team, and I want to. They're called Truck United, I believe. But I'm trying to get them to kind of move to the U.S. as well, because it's super important to have something like that in the U.S. because there's so many people, like even like most of my friends here, like they've played soccer as well, but it was back in high school. Or...
Well, at least for somebody who's not necessarily an athlete, I was when I had knees, and then I gave up my knees.
I was an athlete. I gotta.
But I imagine that's a very isolating thing, along the lines of what you were saying. I used to like to do this, and now I'm not really sure how I could do this safely, and are there enough people to constitute a team, let alone a league?
Yeah, it's definitely hard finding the amount, especially being here in, Connecticut. There's not too many people that I can reach out to, but I would love to start something like that. That's why, again, I was trying to reach out to Truck United, which is in the UK, that I want to try and bring them here to start something like that here and like reach out to people all over.
Sort of it's at least a model, if not a franchise.
Yeah, exactly. And it would just be so cool to play with people who have been through the same thing as you and who can relate, and it just makes the sport even more fun and more relaxing. You don't have to stress about anything. Like, you're just out having a good time, kicking around the soccer ball. Like, I would love that.
Now, one of the other aspects of this evening that you put together was queer-owned businesses representing here, and that's where you invited me. With your photography business, how involved are you with other queer-owned businesses?
We are such a specific niche in small businesses, and it's like, especially during Pride Month, is huge for everyone in that kind of industry. It's chaotic, I'll tell you that, but I love meeting new queer-owned businesses for sure.
Well, one of the things that I like about the idea of what you're doing here tonight is that I just came from Middletown Pride last weekend, which was a great success. Saw you there. But Pride, especially on the larger scale ones like that, Pride has become sometimes more corporate than I feel comfortable with. And so as I walk up and down the vendor tables, I'm never entirely sure how many of those are actually queer-owned businesses and how many just are treating this as a craft fair or whatever.
And that's another thing that I actually wanted to talk about, like companies like Target, for example, like putting in all of this queer merch to sell from queer-owned businesses and then just taking it back because people weren't okay with it.
But how did they not anticipate pushback?
That's the thing, like no matter what, you're gonna get pushback on things like that, especially with the LGBTQ community. But that's such a big thing for queer-owned businesses that they know that's gonna happen, and they continue to sell their stuff, push their merch, and that it's a part of the fight. It's all a part of the fight.
Yeah. For those who maybe aren't familiar with the Target incident, because I was still focused on the Bud Light incident. Yeah, but tell me what you understand the Target incident to have been.
So I don't know too much about it. I've been following a couple other queer small businesses online, and I saw that they were posting that they were supposed to have their stuff sold in Target. And it was more trans-inclusive things rather than just like all queer stuff. It was specifically...
I remember that part of, at least what they seemed to be focusing on was the bathing suits.
Yes, it was the bathing suits, the tucking bathing suits, and then even, I think there was there was binders that they were thinking of like including as well. But again, with the pushback, they decided not to do it. And it kind of just saddens me, honestly, to think that like they had such a great opportunity to stand up for the LGBTQ community, and they kind of just dropped the ball.
If you're going to do it, commit to it. And if you're not, no half measures is, I guess, what I'm saying. Because what message does that send? That, okay, well, we were going to support you, but
then we went against it. And that sends a message, like, to queer people to be like, damn, do we have to hide who we are? Like, because of that? And, like, a good example of like what you could do is Bud Light. Bud Light was amazing. They continued with it. It honestly helped. It was great for their marketing. Like they were everywhere on social media.
I didn't understand, and this is me being arrogant, which is part of why you love me.
Of course.
But I don't understand why Bud Light thought there was a market for their product in our community.
I don't know either. But impressive of them to go for it. I mean, but no, yeah, I mean, the majority of the people who do buy Bud Light are not exactly the most supporting humans. But I also think, like, that was a big part of why they did it. I think they wanted to showcase that no matter who their audience is, like, they are going to support what they think is right.
Which is wonderful.
Again, like, with everything that I was seeing on social media, like, no matter what, with the pushback, they got so much hate. So much hate. The videos that I saw of people buying cans of Bud Light and just running it over with their car, hitting it with a baseball bat.
Well, one of the clips that I actually use in some of my presentations to underscore the stakes of this, that, you know, that the stakes of what we're talking about are not, would you please use my pronouns? It's not, oh, you hurt my feelings when you dead name me. It's the Kid Rock video where he walks up to the camera and says, let me make this clear, picks up an automatic weapon and starts firing at cases of Bud Light. And if anybody watches that and thinks he's shooting at beer,
like, no, in his mind, he's shooting at us.
And thinks he's justified because we stepped into his beer market?
But at the end of the day, it's like, on their end, they're just giving Bud Light more money. Like, you're still paying for the beer. It's like,
whatever it is you want to do with this, you can take a bath in it if you like. For those of you listening to this, please don't take a bath in Bud Light. Neither of us support that.
Please don't. No. Not good for you. No.
Now, I heard that you did a photo shoot this year with this amazing trans woman.
Yes, I did. Had to be one of my favorite shoots.
I'm saying it jokingly, but you and I met afterwards, and there were tears. It was that moving to see that I could be beautiful, and that all of the things, the frustration, the joy, the beauty, that you were able to capture all of these aspects of my journey. And I'm a words person, so to sit there and watch you do this without words, it was deeply moving. So if you're in any degree interested in setting up a photo shoot with Sam, please do it, because it was life-changing for me. And I just bought a picture of myself from Sam so that I won't forget.
Because it's art, and now you can hang it up because you are art.
My name's Luke Nathan. I'm
Luke.
22 years old. I'm from North Carolina. So I moved here back in January and I absolutely fell in love with Connecticut. I loved it because I fell in love with the community here, because I have been a trans guy who has lost the care. I've lost my medical care before. I've had to go off T before. I've suffered through that.
North Carolina was kind of the first with the bathroom law.
Yeah.
So what's going on in North Carolina now?
North Carolina now, it's still the bathroom law, but it hurts when you watch your own hometown start to put up signs, or they start to exclude you. Or like my own high school that I went to, they had to make a whole statement about how girls have to use the girls' bathroom, and the whole, whichever locker room you have to go into your sign. It broke my heart, because I'm like, I went to that high school. And it's also hard because I am the youngest of 3 older siblings, but my older sister is a transgender female.
Oh, wow.
And she still lives in North Carolina. It's terrifying. I'm so blessed to live in Connecticut, and coming here, I can honestly say I found my chosen family. They helped me through such a rough time. And knowing that, my sister is still in North Carolina and everything going on, I constantly text her and I constantly say, hey, I'm here for you. What's going on? How are you doing?
How is she doing?
The hardest thing for her is she gets said a lot of things, and that's because she didn't come out till after I came out.
And when did you come out? Let's roll the tape back a little bit.
It's funny because growing up, I always looked at my older sister, but before they transitioned, I was always wanted to do what they were doing. I wanted to play with their toys. I literally tried to wear their clothes, and they are like 6 feet taller than, or 6 inches taller than me, and I'm trying to put up like these cargo shorts that don't fit.
Drowning in it.
And I just wanted to do everything they did. And I remember specifically, every single time for Halloween, I either wanted to be Batman or I wanted to be a knight. I looked up to them. I wanted to do everything like they did. Coming into middle school, started like everybody kind of knew me as like, oh, like that tomboy, or like always wearing your hair back. I never felt like I fit in. It was so hard and confusing because you see all these girls and they're with like Lily Pulitzer bags or this or that or doing their nails. And instead, you know, I'm out there like, I want to go hang out with the guys. It's hard to fit in when you aren't even able to fit in your own skin. When I came into high school, first I was like, okay, like I found out I like girls and I was like, okay, like I guess. But even then, and after I cut my hair short and stuff like that, I still didn't feel like I was in the right, like I took weightlifting in high school, and one of my super close guy friends back in the time in high school, his name was Nathan, and he was actually the one that kind of made me realize, oh, like I'm trans. Whoa, like I looked up to Nathan. Nathan and I were close, like we were siblings, like type friends with each other. And then after that, I got out, I graduated high school. And then right after I got out, my dad bought me my first binder.
So your dad was supportive?
My dad was very supportive. My dad was...
Way to go, Dad. Nice job.
Yeah, I know.
Nice job.
I love my dad. Thank you, Dad. He bought me my first binder, and when I put it on, and I just was like flat-chested. I was like, I don't think I'll ever forget that. You know, the big thing for me was scrolling through social media and seeing all these like very athletic guys. I'm heavy into the gym, and just seeing those type of guys save the photos or like, you know, like workouts and stuff like that. It wasn't ever that I was attracted to them or stuff like that. It was, I wanted to be them. I then started to mix up my name, try different names, try different pronouns, and I started to see myself come out. And then when I found out, I was like, Luke Nathan. I was like, it's something just like clicked.
It sounds correct.
It sounds correct. Yeah. But when I, you know, and then I came out, and then at the time, sister was in college. We're about 5 years apart, and she was suffering like mentally and really, really bad, and you know, really skinny, like just really couldn't understand. One time she actually texted me and she was like, hey, can we talk? And I'm like, yeah, what, you know, this is like uncommon. I was like, yeah, what's going on? And she literally asked me, she's like, how did you know that you were trans? How did you know you wanted to transition to be a boy? And I told her, I was like, I looked up to you. Like, I know you remember me going into your closet, like taking your clothes. And then when she came out and I just watched her start to transition, and she just looked happier. She looked healthier. Started to do her nails. And I was just like, let's do our nails together. I am, you know, a straight transgender male. But one of my biggest challenges was also expressing my femininity while being trans. Yeah. And it's like, that is such a challenge. And so just being there for my sister, watching her grow, and knowing that now we have each other's backs. Being in this, like, again, being here, I'm so grateful. But yeah, it's like hearing the things that she gets told or the things that get said behind her back, or even when I'm with her and I can see that people are staring, it hurts.
It's family.
Exactly.
You love her.
I'm like, that's my sister, you know? I'm always gonna, you know, I may be the youngest, but I'm always gonna protect you.
That must be really affirming to know that it was your degree of comfort in yourself that enabled her to say, okay, maybe this is what's going on with me as well. Yeah. And to take those scary first steps.
Yeah. It was such a beautiful feeling. It just meant the world to me when she came to me. I felt like when she did that, I could almost like feel like, in a metaphor way, like I could feel her butterfly wings kind of coming out and like just spreading her. I loved it. I love to travel, and I'm like, I don't care where I am. I am always going to be here for you. I'm always going to love you.
Have you talked to her about whether or not she wants to stay in North Carolina, or if she might benefit from a climate that was a little more friendly as well?
I have. She isn't much of a mover, though. She doesn't like change. So
That's hard when you're trans.
yeah, she's very much just likes to kind of stay in her. She's a very isolated type. So she would rather just stay in her ways, stay in North Carolina for a bit. Because also, it's like, regardless of what goes on in our family, and my sibling and I have had a rough past with our mother. And we have come to fix it. But it's like also everything in our family is number one to us. We love you no matter who you are. We're always going to be here for you. Like, family is family.
Because a lot of the groups that oppose us will use the word family in their title, thinking that they have an exclusive claim on what family is, and that's just so obviously wrong. That we have the same love for our families. We have the same commitment. We want to have each other's backs as well.
Like, it was, and it's not like also that it's easy, or I think some people, when they do hear that, you know, I do have a supportive family, that they're like, oh, you got like lucky, my parents don't support me. And it's, when I first came out and I first chopped my hair off, my mom didn't talk to me for a week. When I came out as
like
trans,
high school.
yes,
Yeah.
And when I came out as trans, we had a rough relationship. We were constantly butting heads. Our relationship got to a point where my mother and I did not talk for about 7 months. It was like I was living somewhere else at the time, and we couldn't.
Yeah.
She couldn't understand, and she couldn't. At the time, I was mad at her, but now, after the time, I was like, she couldn't understand at that time what it meant to be trans. Growing up in the household that we did, she didn't understand it. And after having that break apart, I remember the first time that, you know, she texted me and she's like, I'm sorry. And we met for the first time, and I was scared. I was like, am I about to walk back into a relationship that did hurt me?
Yeah, how is this going to go?
You know?
Is it...
And now it's like, my mom, she literally was like, okay, so like, how are you? Like, what name do you go by? Like, pronouns? Like, I was blown away. I always believe people can change for the good. And I became like such a firm believer in that, because now, when we originally got really bad, I was about 18, 19 years old. I'm 22, and I can sit here and I can firmly say, like, my mom and I are best friends.
Oh, that's
I call her every single night. Like, she's got my back. I got her back. She loves me.
It sounds like then the problem wasn't religious beliefs or whatnot, that it was just really a lack of education.
Yeah.
That once your mom had the chance to, you know, at her own pace, to learn, okay, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Is my child going to have a happy, healthy life? And once she understood a little bit better, you guys could come to an agreement.
Yeah.
An understanding.
The hardest thing that she told me at the time in the family, before transitioning, I was known as her little girl. I was the youngest. I was her little girl. So she was like, I was terrified of losing my little girl, you know? And when she told me that, I was like, I completely understand. And it's like, I'm still, you know, I'm still your kid. I'm still the youngest. I think it's funny that you touched on religious beliefs, because I grew up in a very like based family. My grandma. So about a year and a half ago, I lost my grandma to Alzheimer's and dementia.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And my grandma was my best friend, but she was she was very Christian. She was raised that way. She lived that way, but she was the nicest woman on earth. She never got mad. She never raised her voice. She never cursed. Like, she was so amazing. I remember like every single like weekend, I'd go over to her house. We played Yahtzee. Like, Yahtzee's my favorite like childhood game, and I watched Daddy Daycare there. Loved that movie with her nonstop. I remember the most scared when coming out. Like, I knew my family or my mom would have backlash. I was so scared of my grandma finding out, because I'm like, my grandma's my best friend, but I also know she's very religious. And I remember when I started to transition, it absolutely just blew me out of the water, because I had a bad experiences, obviously, with churches before, and it absolutely blew me out of the water, because when I started to transition, she literally wanted to know more about it. She was like, when I cut my hair, she was like, I like your hair, you know? She wanted to, and when I told her, I was like, I'm Luke, like, you're like, I was shaking, I was crying, I was so scared that she was going to tell me something, you know?
Yeah.
She looked at me and she was like, I love you as my grandson. I sobbed. And that changed my view, not only on religion, but just in general, because I can stand here and I can firmly say, I am, transgender, but I'm also a Christian. And a lot of people try to battle me on that,
Yeah.
But, with my grandma, it's like the way I see it is like I'm loving myself to the fullest extent. I won't get too much into it, but the only thing that I guess the Bible would say is just love yourself as you would love other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to love myself to what makes me happiest, and I'm going to love other people as much as I love myself. That's it.
Emotional well-being is the launch pad for you being able to be considerate, be caring, be loving of other people. You can't do that if you're not well balanced in who you are.
Yeah. And that's what, coming here to Connecticut, at first I was like, I'm away from my family. I'm really homesick. I was homesick for months on end. I was calling my mom and I'm like, I miss you. Like, I miss the family. I miss my cat. But then I started to find my friends here. And I realized that I have such an amazing chosen family here. And now every single day, I'm like, I'm home. I have people who love me. I have people who support me. And even though I've gone through a lot of battles, they had my back. I now live in Connecticut. I'm like, this is my home. My friends who love me and support me, there are people out there that are going to love you. There are people out there that are going to support you. It's hard, I know, when you're in the midst of it and you think you're never going to get out of this. You're never going to do it. But if there's one thing I wish I could tell everybody, I am on social media. I have a rather large platform. And the one thing I tell them is, every day, keep fighting, keep pushing, 5,000% every day, because it will not last. Because you have people who love you and support you. I know it seems dark. I know it seems hard. I will never understand what other people go through, but I'm going to try to understand and put myself in your shoes. And I want everybody to know that it's just you will find your safe place. Find the people who will tell you that this is a safe place for you, because all you deserve in this world is to have that safe place, is to have that community, is to have that love.
Luke, tell people where they can find you.
I'm on TikTok at It's Luke Nathan. And then I'm also on Instagram at It's Luke Nathan as well. Do motivation videos. I'm motivational speaker type. I post a lot of trans content. A lot of it is recently been based around, bringing out your femininity, being not afraid to express yourself. We are all so unique, but when you figure out who you are and you start connecting with other people who make you feel like you're home, it just lights your world on fire. There's one recent thing that I've been telling my friends, and I've been even telling myself, is, everybody these days are like, oh, I gotta hustle, I gotta go get that money. I say, chase the opportunity, not the money. Money will come and go. Money it's manufactured, but the opportunity is only going to be there once in a lifetime. You have one life. You have that opportunity. Take it and run with it. And do not look back on what anybody says. I've started taking the opportunity as it comes, and it's amazing. It's just amazing what you learn. It's amazing the connections, and even with yourself, you learn so much about yourself. So it's do you really want to dig deeper into yourself and figure out who you are,
Hello, my name is Alexis. I'm the owner of Love with Pride Apparel. Mainly what I do is clothing. I'm also branching out into stickers and prints. And I guess the general theme is queerness, also the intersection of queerness with nature and mental health. So when I started this in 2020, I knew I wanted to be able to impact people in some sort of way. So, I was doing TikTok at the time, making jokes on there, and I got a little bit of a following, and a lot of the jokes I would make were LGBTQ based jokes and stuff like that. And, obviously being gay, I was like, okay, this is great. I know a lot about this. I can make art about this, maybe help some people find themselves, feel more comfortable, whatever it is. And as I've been doing it, I've also kind of branched out into two other topics. Like I said, nature and mental health, which I'm really passionate about. So I guess at this current point in time, I'm trying to merge all of those three things and make some beautiful art along the way.
Well, not unrelated with the amount of cultural stress and oppression that's going on against queer people at the moment. mental
Yeah.
health is a real concern, and nature can be
Absolutely.
quite the cure for that.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I'm out in nature. Anytime I'm feeling anxious or stressed or whatever it is, like whether if I'm going on a hike or anytime I'm stressed and I go somewhere into nature, it grounds me. And I think most people relate to that.
One of your, I think it was a poster that I saw, was Nature is Queer, with portraits of animals. To ask you to talk a little bit about some of those, but also where did you get the information on some of these animals?
Yeah. So Nature is Queer, I guess. So I don't know how the idea even came to me. People always are like, how do you come up with stuff? How do you get your ideas? And I have absolutely no clue. I could not tell you. It just happens. I'm just draw, I think gay, nature, and I start drawing and then it just comes. But in terms of the Nature is Queer, I know you've seen some of my stuff. A lot of my stuff I like to kind of relate back to, like I said, I guess core issues within the community. And I try to portray certain messages in order to positively impact people. And also a lot of my stuff is humor based. But I'd say it's more about, like I said, that kind of message in order to positively impact people's views of themselves and the world around them. And so with Nature is Queer, a lot of queer children and even queer adults, now with what's going on with, all of the anti-trans, anti-queer laws that are being passed. And I know a lot of people are feeling like scared, but I guess when I came up with the idea for Nature is Queer, I don't know. It's honestly one of my favorite designs I've made because it just felt so like you said, it's so true. It is a fact that nature is queer. All, thousands of species exhibit homosexual behavior and have members that are gay and even trans as well. And I came up with the idea and I was like, oh my God, I need to make this. I feel like there are so many, I won't say political standing, but so many certain types of people that love to use these like gotcha statements.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you cannot give a gotcha statement to this because it is just an indisputable fact. So that's why I love this so much. I need to make it into this design. I would say, not a ton of sources. I definitely pulled from a couple different sources. Here we go. So I didn't want to just say Wikipedia because, but the Wikipedia article, I used multiple Wikipedia articles, and the books and people that they reference are, okay, so Henry Gadeau de Kerville. He was a French entomologist.
Ooh.
And he published one of the first scientific illustrations of animal homosexuality. That was actually beetles. It was their scarab beetles. This was in the late 1800s, and he was very much, I guess, in this sense, a pioneer of that research into queer animals and all that stuff. I feel like I've always loved science, and a lot of people don't really think of science and art as being connected, but it's, before we had pictures and photography, video, like any scientific diagram or example you would see, it had to be drawn, and it had to be drawn really precisely and accurately.
Mm-hmm. So you get Audubon's birds and Da Vinci sketching things from nature meticulously, as you say.
I've actually had a lot of people, message me and say like that design has helped them feel less alone and like less alienated. Sometimes I'll start, I'm not even kidding, I'll start like tearing up at some of these messages because it's just, like I said, like that's really one of my main goals with the brand, is either to make people laugh, but most importantly, the main thing is to impact people and help them feel better about themselves. So when I get those messages, it just, it reminds me like why I'm doing this.
I have your Instagram here up on the computer next to me.
Uh-huh.
And I was looking at the crop of stickers that you released last week, I think it was. And there's some great stuff there. You know that I have a favorite of them, and I don't know that I can talk about it on this podcast, but it is my favorite. Tell me about some of your favorites of your other designs.
Oh man. So obviously the Nature is Queer is like one of my most recent big ones, and definitely one of my favorites by far. I think the In terms of the newest stickers, I also won't say my favorite, but I'll say one of my favorites from that is definitely the mentally stable, because I just, like I said, it was hard for me to really get into the humor aspect of my art, because I feel like everyone is, kind of pressured to stay like in one lane when they're making a brand and stuff like that. But I kind of was like, I really don't care. Like this is if I have a personality that can enjoy both of these things, I know lots of other people do and will appreciate that. So the mentally stable, sit and slay a while was honestly, I'm so proud of that one.
A lot of these stickers had really vibrant, colorful,
Right.
where the lettering is pops at you, as opposed to the Nature is Queer or the other poster that I saw that night of the two women touching hands with the.
Yeah. Queen of Hearts, the gay playing card.
Yeah, that was beautiful, and it's thin lined, and
Mhm.
it kind of at the other end of the spectrum from some of these stickers.
Yeah, so I actually I use Photoshop mostly and Procreate to do my stuff, but I recently discovered this feature in Illustrator and taught myself how to 3D design type. And I kind of figured that out one day, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is incredible. It looks so realistic." So I just became hyper fixated on, like, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna bang out a few designs." Within like a day and a half or two, I was done with all of them. That, like, usually I do not work nearly that fast, but I just became like temporarily obsessed with it. And I was like a little nervous about releasing it because, like you said, like a lot of my other stuff is, I guess it's more illustrative
Mm-hmm.
rather than.
Well, elegant was the word that I thought of when I first saw the Queen of
Oh,
Hearts.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like you said, elegant, I'll take it. Elegant, illustrative, and the stickers, the newest ones we're talking about are almost like 3D kind of realistic rendered lighting. It really is. It's a 3D model that you set the stage and you say, this is where I want the light to come from. So it's very much more like almost like an actual object in space as opposed to like a drawing on a piece of paper.
Well, is it queer agenda, gay agenda? I forget which.
The homosexual agenda.
Homosexual agenda. The letters look plastic. That it looks like you took a photograph.
Yeah, it was so fun to do that. And then I was like, oh my God, I have to add the flames because we're
Of
going
course.
to town.
Yeah. Now,
Of course,
I don't know how you feel about this, but I was talking with a friend of mine at work who is gay, and we agreed that we're going to start lobbying for the gay agenda to include mandatory naps. Both of us felt that, it's hard to get the whole community to agree on anything. But we felt that like a mandatory siesta period in the early afternoon would be something we could all get behind.
I love that idea. I mean, it's tiring work out here,
Yeah.
fighting depression, and we deserve to get a little treat and lay down for a little bit.
There you go.
I love that.
Okay, so from here on out, when people talk about the gay agenda, we're talking about napping.
We're talking about sleeping. Yeah.
Now,
exactly.
Tell people where they can find your stuff.
Yes. Okay. Absolutely. Well, my Instagram is just very simple. It's Love with Pride Apparel. And my website is lovewithpride.net. And of course, I can't forget to mention, I donate 10% of all profits to LGBTQ plus organizations, mainly Outright International, but occasionally I'll do like a specific design. Like when I did my design, my abortion design, I donated to Planned Parenthood. But for the most part, it goes to Outright Action International. I chose Outright Action International because before all of these laws started being passed, I was thinking, like, obviously we have a lot of progress to do in the US, but there are countries across the world that have it way worse. I was like, I want to be able to help people who could get killed by their government for just holding hands with the same gender. I use print on demand. So instead of producing in bulk and getting a lot of extra material, I use a third-party print provider, which reduces waste, and it's a lot more sustainable in that sense.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put a link to them in the show notes as well. My last question also comes from your Instagram feed. You did a photo shoot with a beautiful Burmese python. I lived with a ball python for 18 years, so I have a great deal of affection for the critters. How was that? Because the pictures are gorgeous, but how was
Thank
actually
you.
doing it?
It was great. I mean, obviously I actually got bit for a while by a garter snake once. And
Ooh.
that was when I found out that they are actually venomous. It's just not dangerous to humans.
Garter snakes are venomous.
They are venomous. It was doing this chewing. It looked like it was chewing on my hand, and I looked into it after, and that's what they do to release the venom. So it was so funny because it didn't hurt at all. I was laughing. I was like, "Are you done?" Like
Kind of like a toothless child, just
exactly. Like, but so, I'm very comfortable with snakes and all that. And I also really appreciate them. And she was such a beautiful snake. Her name was Banana. She was so friendly. She really was such a good sport. I mean, obviously she's just kind of hanging out on me, doing her thing, and we'd be moving her so her head faces towards the camera. And it didn't take that long, but we definitely were out there for at least like a good half hour.
Wow.
So she was a very good sport. Yeah, no, this was really fun. I'm really glad that we got to see each other again, and hopefully we'll be at some more events together in the future. I mean, I know Sam plans to do more events, definitely. So
I would do anything for Sam.
My name's Alex. I am a personal trainer and videographer. I dabble in all different industries with video. I started it out in 2015 because I took a class in high school and I loved it. So I just came up with a name called AG Studios and it stuck. And I was just telling them over there that I was doing a lot for free in the beginning. Like I was producing videos for like local dance studios, gyms, small businesses, even like photographers just trying to grow their brand and things like that. But yeah, I was doing it for free or for like $100 just to build my portfolio. And then from there, through networking and just word of mouth and saying yes to projects, I kind of just grew from there. So now I shoot a TV show called Dining Divas, which is on the Travel Channel. I film weddings, I film real estate, and I still film for a lot of like small businesses, like doctor's offices or gyms, things like that. And I'm trying to grow that brand, my video brand, into the fitness industry as well. So I do, we'll make reels and workout videos for other fitness influencers too.
Do you do that for yourself? Are you an influencer?
Yes, but I definitely have a great following that I want to provide value for, and who I feel like are people that look up to me and who have fitness goals that might be similar to mine, or even just things that I can offer and provide to my audience that could help them or even just motivate them to know that like this lifestyle is possible. Like some dedication and putting yourself first, you can get it done. And I feel like a lot of the times, a lot of my followers struggle with getting themselves into the gym and feeling confident once they're there and having a workout that they can do that they know is progressive and is actually going to get them closer to their goals. With that being said, a lot of my content is just to provide like simple workouts that people can just save on their phone or watch in the car quick, and then they can go into the gym and get it done. Because I feel like everybody should feel like they can go to the gym.
So this is something where I would watch your video and then go to the gym and do what you had told me. This isn't the sort of one-on-one or one-on-a-class type of thing.
I also offer that. So when I said I was a personal trainer, that's more so like that business. I would say social media is separate, like my fitness influencing. Usually that's the type of content I provide for like my following. But I also market on my fitness channels that I'm an online personal trainer. So if you want that more one-on-one nutrition and workouts, then I have like a quick application in my bio just to get like some basic information and to see if I could be a good trainer to them, depending on what their skill set is and their goals. And then I reach out, we'll do like a video chat, and then usually we'll just go like monthly for like a couple, like 4 to 6 months, or sometimes for a year, depending on what package they want or whatever works. So yeah, it's important to know as a trainer that science is always changing, and there's so many different ways to go about fitness, whether it's gaining muscle, cutting weight, whatever that is. So it's important to know your strengths as a trainer and what I'm confident in, and to know like what aspects of training I'm confident in and that I can offer, because there are things that I'm not so confident in. So I feel like it's important to know
like what?
Like for an example, if somebody that came to me and it was like a pregnant mother, so I probably could train them, but I feel like for my better market, I feel like is people that are more so like looking to build muscle or cut weight. I just know that I don't have a science background. I'm a certified personal trainer through the NASM, which is just a certification in a class that you do online. So I don't have like a lot of knowledge on how to train a pregnant woman. So in that scenario, I would pass it off to somebody else.
Yeah.
But that's a part of being a personal trainer, is you always have a good network. So there's always somebody I can refer them to.
That you can say, yep.
Yeah. So I don't just say yes to everybody. I say yes to the people who I know I can help reach their goals.
Am I right that you do, I don't know if bodybuilding is the right word, or body sculpting? I'm ignorant of...
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
People always ask if I bodybuild, and I don't. I've never bodybuilded. I've never gone through that process. I've just been a really clean eater. I know kind of like what my body reacts to well. And it is a science. So kind of like taking that time to trial and error and see like what your body digests well, what burns as good energy for you, what makes you less bloated, like things like that. Because there's not just a black and white answer. It's going to be different for everybody. So for me, it's just like staying on top of my nutrition. I was a college soccer player. I've always been involved in sports. My mom introduced me to the gym when I was 14, and I don't think I've missed a day since. I mean, I've had rest days, obviously, and gone on vacation and stuff like that, but it's always been a part of my lifestyle, my routine,
Right.
basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, I mean, and I love it, too. I feel like the reason why, like, I spend so much time in the gym, or, like, the reason why I don't have a problem going to the gym and doing a hard workout is because that's when I feel the most present. I'm 23 years old. I have 2 businesses. I'm an overthinker. I have a lot on my mind all the time. Like people say the average person has 70,000 thoughts a day. I think I have like times 10 of that. So for me, going to the gym and actually doing the workout, when I do the movement, I actually like picture in my mind like my muscle fibers reacting and contracting and making sure that I'm initiating each movement with the muscle that I'm targeting. So I'm thinking about it and I'm picturing it and I'm present. I'm where my feet are.
Yeah.
Every time I'm in the gym, I'm fully present. So it's like it's an escape for me.
Certain activities, for me, that I can achieve that as well, where everything kind of shuts off and you're focused on what you're doing. I used to be a distance runner, and it could happen to me then. For me, reading will get me in that same state where finally all the static in my head stops, and I'm just in that book.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's these days, being able to be present and focused on what you're actually doing.
Exactly.
It's hard.
It's hard, but you also have to remember your mind is a muscle just like everything else. So in those moments where you're driving somewhere and you're thinking about a problem that happened last week that's making you worry, that's not the right now, that's the past, right? So what you're focused on is the road and driving. And I feel like being able to check yourself in that moment and be like, no, I'm driving. This is the road. There's a tree. There's an exit sign. And just think about what you're seeing. That's training your mind right there to be present. So being able to have enough self-awareness to realize that your mind is drifting and then focusing on something that's in front of you to bring your mind back, you can think of it as a rep, like a bicep curl. Like that's one rep.
Wow.
Yeah, pull yourself back. That's just training the muscle, and your mind is a muscle. So with that, more repetition of that, you'll feel more present, more naturally. It'll be more of just your first nature.
Alex, where can folks find your stuff online?
So I have an Instagram and I have a TikTok. My Instagram is Alex Giardina 15, and my TikTok is Alex_Giardina. And then I also have a website, alexgiardinastudios.com. It's a little bit under construction right now, but it'll be good soon, so feel free to check it out.
This is a podcast about trans issues and queer people in general. Does that topic intersect?
My cousin is Sam Giardina, and Sam and I grew up together, obviously. as cousins, and we were as close as you can be, to the point where we were like 12 years old, and I showed up at his house for trick or treat, and we happened to be in the same exact costume, and like didn't even plan it. Wow. Just on the same wavelength forever. And now you look at us now, and like we're both influencers. We're both starting our own businesses. He's doing photography. I'm doing video, and we've just been like teammates, honestly. Even before this, we played on the soccer. Like we grew up playing soccer together too, so we're always on the same team playing soccer. But yeah, Sam kind of brought my awareness more towards the trans community when he did come out, and I remember him coming out to me as trans, and I don't think I was surprised, but I was just like ready. I was ready for him to take it and to run with it and to just do more than and to be trans. I knew that he would be an advocator for the community, and I knew he would be a leader, because that's just who he is. He's always been so driven and so smart. Oh my God, so smart. He could like read a book. We would race like reading pages of books and puzzles and stuff. He's just very smart, and I just knew that he like wants to spread his knowledge, because not many people are educated on the trans community or on the queer community, and they just have their front opinion that it's different. So, and different is wrong in this gender or in this world sometimes. And that's what people think, but they don't really understand the stories and the truth, and also just the genuine life that is there beyond what we grew up in the 1920s, where it was very black and white, and you marry at 20 years old and you move in and you have kids, and you just a very white picket fence, and everybody was expected to be stuck to those norms because that was the norm. But then you have all these people that are so unhappy and they don't know why. And it's because you're trying to fit a circle into a square, and not everybody in this world is a circle. So I just feel like I'm passionate on the topic.
Did you see a change in the emotional well-being of your cousin after he transitioned?
Yeah.
After he came out?
Sam back then couldn't even order his own meal at a restaurant. Sam now can talk to the President of the United States and sell him on a $10 million pitch in 10 minutes, I bet now. Like, his confidence skyrocketed. You could tell that once he came out and he transitioned, that was who he was truly supposed to be, because he literally took off. Like, I always saw so much in Sam pre-transition, but almost like it was stuck. Like it was, there was so much, but whatever that so much was trapped, because again, he was very smart, he was very committed, he was very dedicated and loyal, and like so much to offer. But then when he came out, it's like all of that bloomed, and he figured it out. He like figured out what truly made him happy, what makes him passionate, what fuels his fire. And he's not only doing it for himself, he's doing it for everybody else. And I think that's amazing. Magazine after magazine, like, he's constantly getting his name out there more and more. And I told him, I was like, this is your year. This is literally your year, bro. Like, head down, charge that mountain. Don't let anybody get in your way. Just focus, because he's got such a great following. He's got such a great mission.
His episode of my podcast is the most downloaded episode of my that I've done this season.
Oh, I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him, and I just hope, like, I pray every day for that kid. Like, I just want him to keep going, because it's a dark and scary world sometimes, and especially what he's doing. But you know what? He's not going to stop. He's not going to stop. So I just can't wait.
This is Sadie McCarthy. I'm Claire's niece. Transqat is a production of Transqat Enterprises, LLC. Copyright 2022, all rights reserved. Join us on the web at transqat.com. That's TRANSQAT.com. There, you'll find links to Transqat, the blog, writing projects, speaking engagements, and more. You can also meet the team who thought spelling cat with a Q was a good idea. Follow Transqat on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Leave us a comment on whatever platform you use to stream this podcast. Just remember to be kind. She has enough self-esteem problems already. To reach Claire with a question or a suggestion for an upcoming episode, just use the contact page at the website or email her directly at crmtranscat@gmail.com. Thanks for listening!